Benjamin Raymond lived in the heart of Lagos, where the city's hustle never seemed to rest. From the outside, his life appeared to be that of an ordinary man. He lived alone in a modest, well-kept three-bedroom flat on a quiet street. While the world assumed he was a regular middle-class Nigerian, Benjamin was far from ordinary. He was a self-made millionaire who made his fortune trading forex from the comforts of his home. With state-of-the-art monitors glowing softly in one of his three bedrooms, Benjamin spent hours analyzing global markets. Every beep of his trading software marked another opportunity, and every click of his mouse brought him closer to yet another profit. But despite his immense wealth, Benjamin lived a quiet and simple life. He wore understated clothes, drove a modest Toyota Mazda car, and kept to himself. Looking around his comfortable three-bedroom apartment, he said, "I can afford any house I want, but I cannot buy a home with love." At 30, Benjamin had everything he could ever want, except for the one thing he yearned for: a companion who would love him for who he was. The problem, however, lay in his crippling insecurity. Benjamin suffered from chronic mouth odor, a condition so severe that he avoided social gatherings and conversations altogether. He had tried everything to fix it: dentists, oral hygiene routines, expensive breath sprays, but nothing worked. His condition often made interactions unbearable. People recoiled subtly, avoided close contact, or, in cruel moments, outrightly mocked him. Even when he gathered the courage to try dating, the results were disastrous. He cannot forget how a lady he approached for friendship mocked him and asked him to first break the friendship he had with mouth odor before seeking for her friendship. Or the one that asked him for a lift on a lonely road one day, but had to get down from the car, stating that she was almost losing her life from inhaling his bad breath. Indeed, Benjamin had suffered in the hands of women. On one particular lonely evening, Benjamin called his longtime friend and fellow forex trader, Charles. Unlike others, Charles knew about Benjamin's condition and his immense wealth. Ben, you can't hide in your house forever," Charles said over the phone. "You are not some random guy. You are young, you are rich, you are intelligent. Put yourself out there, my brother." "It's easy for you to say," Benjamin replied, leaning back in his chair. "Do you know what it feels like to see someone flinch just because he said hello?" Charles chuckled softly, trying to lighten the mood. "Look, not every woman will focus on your breath. I'm sure that if you go out more, you will find someone who values you for you without even knowing how rich you are." Benjamin sighed, the loneliness weighing heavy. That's the problem, Charles. No woman has wanted anything serious with me once they perceived my breath. It is really frustrating and demoralizing. I even told one lady I admired very much how wealthy I am, just to see if she would look past my breath and consider dating me, even if all she wanted was my money. But she rubbed me on the floor, and when I paid a call girl to sleep with, she insisted that I must tie my mouth with a handkerchief before she would consider it. Imagine the humiliation, Charles. That's why I have caged myself to my apartment, only going out when it is necessary. Ben, my friend, Charles began, his voice filled with concern. I can understand how bad you feel. I am truly sorry for all that you have been through. And the one that pains me the most is that you have spent money seeking for solution to this problem, and yet nothing has worked. But please, don't give up. I believe that one day you will find a companion worthy of you, someone who will look beyond your breath and see the wonderful man that you are. Please keep the hope alive, my brother. And you know that if you ever need a friend to talk to, I'm that friend. As the call ended, Benjamin sat in silence, staring out of his window at the Lagos skyline. Despite his wealth and success, he felt more isolated than ever. But little did he know, life was about to throw him a curveball, one that would change everything. For someone as wealthy and intelligent as Benjamin, finding love shouldn't have been such a difficult task. But time after time, his efforts ended in heartbreak. He tried to convince himself that rejection didn't bother him, but each experience chipped away at his confidence. One afternoon, Benjamin visited a high-end clothing store in Lekki to buy a new suit. The store was chic and expensive, catering to Lagos elite. It was here that he met Lucy, a strikingly beautiful sales assistant with a radiant smile that could light up an entire room. For weeks, Benjamin had shopped at the store just to catch a glimpse of her. This time, he decided to take a chance. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome back, Lucy greeted warmly as Benjamin walked in. She recognized him as a regular customer. Good afternoon, Lucy, Benjamin replied, carefully keeping his distance. He quickly picked out a sleek navy blue suit and brought it to the counter. As Lucy rang up his purchase, Benjamin mustered all the courage he had. Lucy, can I ask you something? He said, his voice trembling slightly. Of course, sir, she replied, looking up at him curiously. I was wondering if we could have lunch sometime, just to get to know each other better. For a moment, Lucy looked taken aback. Her polite smile faltered as the scent of his breath wafted over the counter. She took a subtle step back, but not subtle enough for Benjamin to miss it. Ah, sir, I'm very, very busy these days. You know how work is. Benjamin felt a pang of embarrassment, but decided to try again. It doesn't have to be long. Just 30 minutes maybe. I promise it will be worth your time. Lucy glanced at her co-worker, who was already stifling a laugh. She leaned in slightly and whispered, Sir, no offense, but I think you need to sort out personal hygiene issues before asking someone out. Benjamin froze, his face burning with humiliation. Her voice, though low, had been loud enough for the other staff to hear. A chuckle escaped from one of the salesmen at the back of the store. Lucy straightened up, trying to maintain professionalism, but the damage was done. Thank you for your time, Benjamin said quietly, grabbing his shopping bag and walking out of the store. Outside, he leaned against his car, breathing heavily. The words replayed in his mind. Personal hygiene issues. This wasn't the first time he had been mocked, but it felt just as painful as the first rejection. Later that week, Benjamin tried again, this time with a woman he met at a friend's wedding. Her name was Beauty, and she seemed kind. They danced together during the reception, and Benjamin thought they had a real connection. But when he called her the next day, she barely let him speak. Benjamin, she interrupted, listen, you seem like a nice guy, but I don't think we are compatible. It just won't work between us. Best of luck, okay? He hung up, staring at his phone in frustration. He knew the real reason. His breath had betrayed him again. Despite his wealth, Benjamin felt small. It wasn't just the rejections that hurt. It was the laughter, the mocking, the whispers behind his back. Each encounter reminded him of how society judged people based on their flaws, no matter what else they had to offer. But Benjamin was determined. He kept remembering how his friend, Charles, had asked him not to lose hope. Somewhere out there, he believed, was someone who would see past his imperfections. Until then, he would endure the stings of rejection, no matter how much they hurt. But after countless rejections, Benjamin finally decided to focus solely on himself and take a break from pursuing love. He spent his days trading forex, expanding his already impressive portfolio, and indulging in his quiet hobbies. His evenings were spent reading books, playing chess online, and occasionally binge watching Nollywood comedies that gave him much needed laughter. One Saturday afternoon, while browsing a bookstore on the mainland, Benjamin's life took an unexpected turn. The store smelled of old paper and wood polish, a comforting scent that Benjamin found calming. He was engrossed in a book titled The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Damn when someone bumped into him from behind. "Oh, I'm so sorry," a soft, feminine voice said. Benjamin turned to see a young woman with bright eyes that seemed to fill the room. She wore a bright Ankara dress and she smiled apologetically, holding up her hands. "It's okay," Benjamin replied, stepping back awkwardly. The woman squinted at the book in his hands. That's a good book. I finished reading one last week," she said with a grin. "Really?" Benjamin asked, genuinely intrigued. "Did it work? Are you now a master of not giving a damn?" The woman laughed, a soft musical sound that made Benjamin momentarily forget his insecurities. "I'm getting there. It's a work in progress. My name is Ifeoma, by the way," she added, extending her hand. "Benjamin," he said, shaking her hand lightly. They spent the next few minutes discussing books, swapping recommendations, and laughing at shared jokes. Benjamin kept his responses brief, wary of saying too much and risking her noticing his breath. But Ifeoma seemed completely unbothered. She didn't flinch, step back, or give him any of the usual signals he had come to dread. "You have good tastes in books," Ifeoma said as they walked toward the checkout counter. "And you have good taste in clothes," Benjamin replied, gesturing to her vibrant dress. She laughed again. "Ah, this old thing. It's my lazy weekend outfit, but thanks for the compliment." At the counter, Ifeoma noticed Benjamin fumbling with his wallet and gently teased, "Don't tell me you forgot your money at home, Mr. Benjamin, or should I help you search for it?" Benjamin chuckled nervously. No, I just don't carry much cash around. I usually use transfers. Modern man. I thought you were trying to act like some men here in Lagos who automatically forget their money at home when they see a woman. And I was hoping that you would pay for my books as well, Mr. Modern Man, she said, smirking. Oh no, I'm not one of them. If you don't mind, I could pay for the books you selected, Benjamin said. I was only teasing you, sir. Don't mind me. I'll pay for my own books. But I really don't mind paying for yours. See? Ifeoma said, bringing out some cash from her handbag. I have the money to pay for my books. Don't worry, please. And thank you for offering. As they exited the store, Benjamin hesitated. For the first time in a long while, he felt comfortable around someone. He didn't want the conversation to end. Summoning his courage, he asked, would you like to go for lunch with me? There's a small restaurant nearby. To his surprise, Ifeoma nodded. Sure, why not? I wanted to get some roasted plantain and fish before heading home. There is a woman that sells the best bole in this entire neighborhood. I promise you, if you try her bole, you will want more. Interesting. Why don't we check her out right away? I'm already salivating, Benjamin said, as they sat down to enjoy a plate of bole and fish at the joint. Their conversation flowed effortlessly. Ifeoma told him about her job as a primary school teacher and her love for storytelling. Benjamin shared snippets of his life, though he carefully avoided mentioning his wealth or his forex career. He found himself smiling more than he had in months, and Ifeoma's laugh became a sound he already wanted to hear again. By the end of the day, Benjamin had her number saved in his phone. Call me anytime, and I particularly want to know your opinion on those other books you bought, to know if I should get them as well, Ifeoma said as she waved him goodbye. As Benjamin drove home, he replayed the day in his mind. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Ifeoma could be the one who would look beyond his imperfections. Benjamin and Ifeoma's friendship blossomed quickly. Much to Benjamin's delight and disbelief, they spoke every day, often losing track of time as their conversations stretched late into the night. Ifeoma had an infectious energy that brought light into Benjamin's otherwise quiet and solitary life. For the first time in years, Benjamin began to feel genuinely happy. Ifeoma didn't seem to notice or didn't care about his flaws. She appreciated his dry sense of humor, his thoughtfulness, and his uncanny ability to remember even the smallest details about her. But as their connection grew stronger, Ifeoma's friends and family began to take notice, and they weren't impressed. One evening, Ifeoma's best friend, Nkechi, came over for a visit. Nkechi was blunt, opinionated, and never shy about sharing her thoughts. So, Ifeoma, Nkechi began, sipping her glass of zobo. I see you are getting serious with that Benjamin guy. Ifeoma smiled. Yes, we've been spending a lot of time together. He's wonderful, Nkechi. He's kind, intelligent, and broke, Nkechi interjected, raising an eyebrow. Ifeoma frowned. What do you mean by that? Come on, Ify. Everyone is talking about him. He dresses like he owns two shirts, drives that old Toyota Mazda car that is as small as a box of matches, and he's not exactly the social type. Are you sure this is the man you want to waste your time on? And let's not forget that his breath can kill 1,000 rats miles away. Ifeoma's face hardened. Benjamin is a good man. I don't care about his car, his clothes, or anything else. He's genuine, very kind, and seems to warm up to my heart. That's what matters to me. Nkechi sighed dramatically. You are too soft, Ify. Love, love doesn't pay the bills. Don't come crying to me when he can't afford to buy you even a small iPhone, or when people start avoiding your home because of his breath. Ifeoma shook her head, frustrated. She knew Benjamin wasn't wealthy, or at least she thought she did, but she didn't care. To her, his kindness and humility outweighed any material shortcomings or his breath issues. The real battle came when Nkechi told Ifeoma's parents about Benjamin, and they asked her to come back home for a meeting. Who is this person that you are dating that we have been hearing about? Her mother, Mami Ifeoma, asked, her voice laced with disbelief. Nosy Nkechi won't just keep her mouth shut, will she? Anyway, his name is Benjamin, Mama, Ifeoma said patiently. And what does this Benjamin do for a living? Her father asked, peering over his glasses. He's a trader, Ifeoma said. A trader? Her mother exclaimed. You mean he's one of those boys selling gala and coke or handkerchief in traffic? No, no, Mama, Ifeoma said exasperated. He trades foreign exchange. Mami Ifeoma waved her hand dismissively. Foreign exchange or traffic trade, it's the same thing. This man doesn't sound like he has any future, and I heard that he has a very bad and stinking mouth odor. Even if he is using juju to charm you, I won't allow you to continue with this relationship. Allow me? Ifeoma shot back, her voice rising. I love Benjamin, and I'm not asking for anyone's permission. Her father cleared his throat. Ifeoma, yes, you are an adult, but we are only trying to guide you. A man with no wealth and has hygiene issues will bring you nothing but misery. People will keep referring to you as that family with bad mouth odor. I hope you know what you are getting into. Despite their disapproval, Ifeoma stood her ground. She refused to let anyone dictate her feelings for Benjamin. I see something in him that none of you do, she told them firmly, and I'm not giving up on him. Meanwhile, Benjamin was completely unaware of the storm brewing in Ifeoma's world. All he knew was that for the first time, someone seemed to care about him, flaws and all. Months passed, and Ifeoma and Benjamin grew even closer. Despite the whispers from her friends and the outright disapproval of her family, Ifeoma stood firm. She had never felt this kind of connection before, and no one could convince her to abandon it. Benjamin, on the other hand, couldn't believe his luck. For the first time in his life, someone had looked beyond his mouth odor and chosen to stay. Ifeoma's unwavering support gave him the confidence he hadn't felt in years. And so he decided it was time to take the next step. On a cool Friday evening, Benjamin called his friend Charles for advice. Charles, I've made up my mind, he said, pacing the length of his living room. I'm going to propose to Ifeoma. Wow, big move, my guy, Charles replied, his voice filled with excitement. But wait, does she know about your mouth issue and your financial situation? No, Benjamin admitted. She has stayed with me despite thinking I'm just an average guy. That's one of the reasons why I want to marry her. She doesn't care about my financial status, nor seem to be bothered about my breath. I'm so happy for you, my guy. I told you, I told you that one day someone worthy of you will see you for who you are. So, do you have a plan for the proposal? I do. And thank you, Charles, for encouraging me not to give up. You are my guy for life, Benjamin said, a sly smile forming on his lips. The proposal day came on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Benjamin had invited Ifeoma to a private dinner at a luxury restaurant she had never heard of. She was puzzled when he picked her up in a new tear-rubber, sleek black Range Rover instead of his usual Toyota Mazda. Whose car is this, Ben? Did you win a lottery? Ifeoma asked, eyeing the plush interior. Benjamin chuckled nervously. Let's just say I borrowed it for the day. But you don't have to impress me. I am okay with your Mazda. I know that you will attain greater heights because I see a great man in you. Benjamin tried to speak, but couldn't find the words. Her words almost moved him to tears, but he just nodded his head and opened the passenger side for her to enter. As they drove, Ifeoma noticed Benjamin seemed more anxious than usual. Are you okay? She asked, reaching out to squeeze his hand. Is anything the matter? No, I'm fine. Everything is perfect, he replied, though his sweaty palms betrayed him. When they arrived at the restaurant, Ifeoma was stunned. The place was breathtaking, with fairy lights strung across the ceiling, soft music playing in the background, and a table set for two on a secluded balcony overlooking the city. Benjamin, what's all this? She asked, her eyes wide. This place will cost a fortune, oh, and it's not like it's my birthday or something. You, my love, deserve the best, he said simply, pulling out a chair for her. As they had their dinner, they laughed, talked, and reminisced about the day they met at the bookstore. But as dessert was served, Benjamin suddenly grew serious. Ify, he began, clearing his throat. I've never been good with words, but I need to tell you something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Ifeoma gasped as he got down on one knee. Ifeoma, you've brought joy and hope into my life when I thought I would never find them again. You've looked past my flaws and loved me for who I am, and I will never take that for granted. He then hesitated before saying, Please, will you marry me? Tears streamed down Ifeoma's face as she nodded. Yes, of course, yes. As Benjamin slid the ring onto her finger, the restaurant staff erupted in applause. But the surprises weren't over yet. Benjamin handed her a set of car keys. This is for you, he said, gesturing to the Range Rover they had arrived in. What? Ifeoma exclaimed, staring at the keys in disbelief. Benjamin, I don't understand. How? Benjamin smiled sheepishly. There's something I haven't told you. I'm not just a regular guy who trades forex. I've been very successful and, well, let's just say I'm a multimillionaire, not just in naira, but in foreign currency as well. For a moment, Ifeoma was speechless. She glanced at the car keys, the ring, and then at Benjamin. Finally, she burst out laughing. So you have been pretending with that your Toyota Mazda to camouflage your wealth, eh? What if I had rejected you because of that? She said, playfully hitting his arm. Benjamin laughed with her, relief washing over him. That's it, Ify. You never judged me by my financial status. You never for once made me feel out of place, even when I know that my breath can be disturbing. You have shown me that you love me for who I am, not for my money or anything. And you've proven that over and over again. I count myself lucky to have you in my life. Ifeoma stood up and gave him a deep, warm embrace. No words were needed at that moment. That evening, as they drove home in the Range Rover, Ifeoma couldn't stop smiling. She had chosen Benjamin for his heart, and now she was learning just how much there was to him. But the real test was yet to come when Ifeoma's family and friends found out the truth. The news of Benjamin and Ifeoma's engagement spread quickly, and it wasn't long before her friends and family found out. Ifeoma's parents were the first to react, and they weren't pleased. So, you are telling me you're marrying that broke trader, eh, Ifeoma? Mami Ifeoma said, hands on her hips. She had summoned Ifeoma for a serious talk in their living room, where her father sat silently, pretending to read a newspaper. He's not broke, Mama, Ifeoma replied firmly. He might as well be. What can he offer you? Eh? A lifetime of struggle. You are too beautiful to waste your life on someone like that. Or wait, maybe he used charm on you. Mami Ifeoma said as she got close to Ifeoma's face as if to sniff her face, and then said, Yes, I knew it. He used charm on you, but it won't work. My only child cannot marry such a person. Ifeoma sighed. Mama, please stop it. There is no charm here. I've made my decision. I'm marrying Benjamin, and that is final. Her father finally looked up. Ifeoma, we love you, and we only want what's best for you. Think about your future children. Will they be able to go to good schools? Will he be able to provide for you? Ifeoma couldn't help but smile. Papa, you will soon find out that Benjamin is more than capable. The following weekend, Benjamin invited Ifeoma's family and close friends to a small engagement party at a popular event hall in Lekki. It was an elegant affair, but understated, true to Benjamin's character. When her family arrived, they were surprised by the lavish decorations and the warm hospitality. Where did he get the money for all this? Mami Ifeoma whispered to her husband as they took their seats. I know that he has gone to borrow money from his friends to impress us, but he cannot deceive me. Let us hear what he has to say first, Papi Ifeoma replied. The real surprise came when Benjamin took the microphone to make a toast. Thank you all for being here. I'm grateful to have found someone as wonderful as Ifeoma, and I'm honored to become a part of her family. There was polite applause, but the room grew silent as Benjamin continued. I know many of you have had doubts about me, And that's understandable. I've kept a lot of my life private because I wanted to find someone who loved me for who I am and my flaws, not just for what I have. He paused, glancing at Ifeoma, who smiled encouragingly. The truth is, I'm not just a trader. I've been fortunate to achieve great success in forex trading, and it has allowed me to build a comfortable life. With that, he gestured to one of the waiters, who walked in holding a briefcase. Benjamin opened it to reveal stacks of crisp naira notes. Gaps echoed through the hall. This is just a token of appreciation for my future in-laws, he said. Mami Ifeoma nearly fainted, while her husband's eyes widened in disbelief. Nkechi, sitting at the back, whispered to another friend, "Wait oh, is that a briefcase filled with bundles of money that I'm seeing? Or are my eyes deceiving me?" But the biggest shock came when Benjamin turned to Ifeoma and handed her another envelope. Inside were the documents for a new 5-bedroom duplex he had purchased in her name. "Here, my love, is the document to a 5-bedroom duplex I bought in your name in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. It is a little token from me to you for being real and showing me that real people who do not judge other people because of their inadequacies still exist," Benjamin said as he handed the document to Ifeoma. The room erupted in cheers and applause as Ifeoma's parents rushed to Benjamin's side, showering him with praise. "Ah, my son," Mami Ifeoma exclaimed, her earlier doubts forgotten. "You didn't tell us you were such a big man. I knew it. There was indeed something about you that made my daughter stick with you. Choi, Mokoma, you are the best son-in-law any parent can pray for. Welcome to my family, oh, welcome." As the evening went on, everyone who had once mocked Benjamin tried to cozy up to him. Nkechi, who had been one of his harshest critics, suddenly couldn't stop smiling in his direction. "You are such a lucky woman, oh, Ify," Nkechi said, linking her hands with Ifeoma's hands. "You really saw something in him before any of us did. I admire you, oh." Ifeoma raised an eyebrow, amused. "Oh, now you admire me? I can't believe what my ears just heard," she said, smiling. Benjamin watched the scene with a mix of amusement and gratitude. He wasn't angry at how they had treated him before. He had expected it, but seeing how quickly people's attitudes changed was a lesson he would never forget. As the party wound down, Ifeoma walked up to Benjamin and hugged him tightly. "You didn't have to do all this, my love," she whispered. "I wanted them to see what I see in you," he replied. For the first time in his life, Benjamin felt truly accepted, not because of his wealth, but because of the woman who had chosen to love him, flaws and all. Benjamin and Ifeoma's wedding day was nothing short of magical. Held at a serene garden in Lagos, it was a beautiful blend of tradition and modern elegance. Guests arrived in colorful Nigerian attire, dancing to the rhythmic beats of the talking drum as they celebrated the union of two souls who had defied the odds. As they danced together, Benjamin couldn't help but reflect on his journey. He remembered the rejections, the humiliation, and the loneliness he had endured. But standing there with him was Ifeoma, a woman who truly loved him, He knew it had all been worth it. After the wedding, Ifeoma and Benjamin settled into their new life together. She and Benjamin moved into what could best be described as a mansion, which they filled with laughter, love, and occasional playful arguments about whose turn it was to cook. But even as they settled into married life, one issue remained: Benjamin's mouth odor. Ifeoma never mentioned it, but she knew it caused him great insecurity. She noticed how he avoided speaking directly to people and how he always chewed gum or popped mints before conversations. One afternoon, while chatting with her colleague Ada at work, Ifeoma brought up the issue. Have you ever heard of natural remedies for persistent mouth odor? She asked casually. Ada nodded. Oh yes, my uncle had the same problem. He tried everything: dentists, expensive toothpaste, but nothing worked. Then he started using a herbal remedy that cleanses the guts. It worked like magic. What kind of remedy? Ifeoma asked, intrigued. Ada explained that the treatment involved drinking a mixture of herbs that targeted the root cause of bad breath, which is usually due to poor gut health. She promised to get the recipe from her uncle and share it with Ifeoma. 2 weeks later, Ifeoma convinced Benjamin to try the herbal treatment. At first, he was skeptical. Herbs? Are you sure this isn't just another scam? He asked, wrinkling his nose at the bitter-smelling mixture. Just try it, my love. What's the worst that could happen? Ifeoma said, holding his hand. Reluctantly, Benjamin agreed. He drank the concoction daily, grimacing at the taste, but trusting Ifeoma's judgment. Weeks passed, and gradually, Benjamin began to notice a difference. His mouth felt fresher, and the nagging discomfort in his stomach that he had ignored for years disappeared. One evening, as they sat together watching TV, Ifeoma turned to him and smiled. Have you noticed anything? She asked. Benjamin frowned. What do you mean? Your breath. It's fresh, she said. Benjamin blinked, then exhaled cautiously. Ifeoma leaned in and sniffed dramatically before laughing. See? I told you it would work. Benjamin stared at her, overwhelmed with emotion. Ifeoma, you've changed my life in more ways than I can count. I don't even know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me, my love. That's what love is, helping each other become the best version of ourselves. As the years passed, Benjamin and Ifeoma's love story became the talk of the town. People marveled at how they had overcome challenges and how Ifeoma's faith in Benjamin had paid off. Even Ifeoma's parents, who had once disapproved of the relationship, treated Benjamin like the son they never had. One day, during a family gathering, Mami Ifeoma pulled her daughter aside. Ifeoma, I owe you an apology, she said, her voice soft. For what, Mama? Ifeoma asked, surprised. For doubting your choice. You saw what none of us could see, and I'm not talking about his wealth. Although I must confess that his wealth has changed our lives, oh. But particularly because we have seen that Benjamin is indeed a good, honest, hardworking, God-fearing and compassionate man. And these are the traits every woman should look out for in a man they want to marry. So, my daughter, I am very proud of you for not letting anyone, including us, your parents, deter you from following your heart. Ifeoma smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. Thank you, Mama. But it wasn't just me. Benjamin showed me what true love really looks like. Their story became a reminder to everyone who knew them, never to judge someone by their current situation because people grow, change, and often have hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. As Benjamin and Ifeoma sat on their porch one evening, watching the sunset, Benjamin turned to his wife and said, Ifeoma, I'm the luckiest man alive because you chose me. She laughed, resting her head on his shoulder. No, Benjamin, I'm the lucky one. You've shown me that love isn't about perfection. It's about seeing the beauty in each other's flaws. And with that, their love story continued, stronger, deeper, and filled with the kind of joy that only comes when two people choose each other against all odds. Thank you so much for watching the story. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And let me know what you think about the story in the comment section. I'd be glad to hear from you. Until I come your way again soon, stay happy.